Utah Honor Flight is more than a vacation. For many veterans who take a trip to Washington, D.C., it's a chance to find a bit of peace.
News specialist Alex Cabrero went to the nation's capital with a man who spends every single day struggling with memories of Vietnam. A man whose journey leads him straight to the names of those left behind.
I volunteer here. I take people on tours.
Stories are often the best way to learn.
For refueling while they're flying.
And every exhibit at the Hill Aerospace Museum in Roy has a story to tell.
Well, there's no airplane that can fly that fast.
One man telling them
I heard a story once.
has made it his mission to keep those stories alive.
My rucksack over here, and they pulled me up.
It's safe to say Rocky Olson knows about these aircraft about as well as anyone.
NVA soldiers up on the mountain not far from us.
Because many of their stories are his stories.
That's war, you know, we just...
Olson was drafted into the U.S. Army back in 1968 when the Vietnam War was raging.
I spent all my time living out in the jungle. If it rained, that's the way it was, and if it was muddy, we just laid in the mud and tried to sleep.
An entire year of moving through the jungle, not knowing what might be just ahead.
I might go for a week with nothing happening, but then all hell would break loose.
It was during those terrifying moments when he learned the true bond he shared with his fellow soldiers.
We were brothers.
And he knew any one of them could be gone in an instant.
Sometimes I held them in my lap while they died and tried to tell them that you're going to live, you're okay, but I knew that they wouldn't make it.
He also knew at any moment they all could be gone.
My guys were sent out to search a little area that hadn't been full of rice paddies, but now it's got elephant grass. And once all 12 of us got in there, they cut loose on us from two sides in an L-shaped ambush, and they cut everybody down except for me. I was the only one that walked out.
Somehow, Olson made it through that jungle and back home to Utah, but the war came with him.
I was home for 5 years with PTSD. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't tell my family. When I got married, I didn't tell my wife. I just couldn't face that talking about it.
Survivor's guilt isn't something you talked about back then.
Why not me? And I felt like I wanted to be there with them, and I felt like I should have been killed because I don't want to have to face this.
Eventually, though, this is how he faced it. He told his stories, as many as he could remember, the good and the bad, and put them all in a book.
I cried a lot as I was writing the book because it brought back memories that I had pushed away.
Those memories still come back every single day. So when he got the chance to go to Washington, D.C., thanks to the Utah Honor Flight, he was ready to face them again. Every veteran has a memorial they want to visit on these trips. For Olson, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was the only one on his mind.
All these guys have died. Can you imagine that?
And he took his son along with him.
Yeah, the worst part is hearing 33,000 18-year-olds.
Every name is someone who didn't make it home alive. Thousands of living, breathing Americans whose stories were cut short.
My squad was ambushed. You get to reach up and touch the names. It's just a real moving thing for me to see them and let them know that I am respecting them.
Olson says about 30 of his brothers didn't make it out of the jungles.
I think about this daily. I think about Vietnam.
But there's one name he's always thinking about.
MECDEF.
A brother he's hoping to find.
Early, E-A-R-L.
Yeah, he's from Iowa.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the guy.
And one more story he wants to tell.
Early Wine jumped up and ran up to the helicopter, and just before he got to the helicopter, there was a big boom and a cloud of smoke went, and Early Wine was dead.
A 19-year-old simply running to get a drink of water because he was thirsty.
And lost his life.
It's just one of many stories history could have easily forgot.
right there.
if not for Olson telling it.
Jerry Early Wine, there he is.
Through all the trauma, all the pain, and all the guilt,
They were great guys, young guys.
Rocky Olson has found peace just by telling his story,
Some of these guys I held while they died.
by telling all their stories,
We both jumped up and charged.
keeping them alive simply by talking.
I love these guys. They were my brothers. And I want them to know that I'm remembering them.
Powerful story, Alex. Olson's book is called Sgt Rock, Last Warrior Standing, and he says the most rewarding part is hearing from other veterans who read his story and decided to seek therapy for their own struggles.